what do most people get wrong about being a digital nomad?
Oof. I think very interesting one. I think when people think about being a digital nomad, they think on retirement or going on holiday forever. Um, and those things could be true, but I think for the majority of people that I meet and that I hang out with, we're actually just entrepreneurs working really hard, but we just choose to do it in a different location where we might like the temperature or the culture or just the environment a little bit more. So I don't think it's per se, oh, I'm going to the beach and I'm going on a holiday. No, it's just like I want to get work done, but I just want to choose it in an environment that I prefer or that I like a little bit more. And I think, yeah, that's the biggest misconception. And yeah, like maybe in combination with that is like, oh, digital nomads, they never work. They go to the beach every day. And like again, same. It's the same context because I remember when I was in Bali, for example, or in Thailand or anywhere else. It's like most of the time I'm just like working like 8, 6, 7, 6, 9 hours, just like you, but or like somebody that's listening. Like I mean, you with the person that's listening, that maybe is not a digital nomad, but you decide to do it at home or at the office, and I just decide to do it in an office in a different country.
Right, right. Yeah, I think most people have this misconception that it's just chilling on the beach and doing nothing, just enjoying. But
Yeah,
no, most people go there to also work, and they work in cafes all day long. But then
exactly.
afterwards, they do have
You
the
have the
freedom.
opportunity to go to
Yeah,
the beach when you're free, like when you're
exactly.
done working. So here, like today I am in Belgium. So if I go to Belgium and like I work from home now, so if I work from home here, because I'm visiting my mom, so I'm actually at my mom's place. But when I'm visiting her and I'm done working, then it's like, oh yeah, okay, now what I do? Oh, I look outside, it's cold. Damn, no, I'm not going outside. Oh, it's raining. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
I'll just watch something on Netflix. Like like sadly enough, and not sad, like sometimes it's nice, but like you would want to have diversity. Like if I'm in Bali or in Thailand or in Vietnam or in Bulgaria, I can have the choice to either watch Netflix, I can still do that, or I can say, you know what, let me go to the beach, or you know what, let me just go explore, or let me try to visit a new restaurant or something. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest difference for me.
Right. You have that option
Yeah.
of going to the beach and enjoying the sun. The location makes a
Mhm.
big difference in your mental health as well. And then having those people around you who are like minded
Yeah,
has
very
a
big.
big impact on you, right?
For sure.
You being a digital nomad for 4 or 5 years, I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
something like that. Like I think this is year 5 actually. It's actually crazy like how quickly it goes. Yeah, actually what am I saying? It was yeah, like almost like COVID happened and then like the end part of COVID, I was like, okay, let me just go. I've seen it.
Well, I wanted to ask, what
Yeah.
inspired you to become a digital nomad?
I think when I was younger, I was still in school. I was studying computer science and back then, I was watching a lot of YouTube and I was watching a lot of like travel vlogs actually. That was actually what I liked to watch in my free time. Also, I tried to make vlogs myself, but I was still in Belgium and I was like, oh, one day I would love to make travel vlogs as well because I was watching so many travel vlogs. And then first, I thought I had to become an influencer or like a content creator at least. No, I really thought I had to be an influencer actually to get invited to hotels and then travel like that for free. Because like I never traveled before I was 18 because we didn't have the finances for it. So I remember going on my first trip when I was like, I don't know, like 19. I was like so amazing, I think we went to Barcelona or somewhere. Or like no,
Mm,
Turkey. And I was like, oh damn, like I would love to see more of the world. And then like just watching all these content creators and then thinking like, okay, like collaborations with hotels has to be the way, right? And that was my goal then. And I then also achieved that goal, where I was like really putting a lot of effort in content creation And then I got collaborations, and I had like, I remember, I don't know which year it was, but like one year I had like three collaborations with three hotels, and they paid my flight, and I thought it was so crazy and amazing. But what I realized pretty quickly was like, it was so intense because now you are not there to enjoy the hotel, you're there to make content of the hotel. So you're actually working the whole time for them. So, like you have to do every day, every excursion, like you have no time off from 6 in the morning till 9 in the evening. They're sending you to all these things to document, to make content about that. And it's really cool because normally it costs a lot of money, but because I don't want to sound spoiled, but after a while you get so tired and you're not really enjoying the things that you want to, like, why you want to go on a holiday for. And then you film all that stuff. Then at home at the hotel, you're trying to go through all the content to see like if there's anything that's it's good, or you have to re-record again. And then you're exhausted after 7 days, and then you have to come home, and then you have to edit everything. And then I realized, like, you know what, man, this shit is not for me. Like, I would love to travel. I would love to see the world, but on my own terms, on my own speed. And that's why I was thinking, like, okay, I just want an online business where I can earn enough money to do whatever I want to do, and where nobody has to tell me, oh, you have to be there right now, or you have to be there. And then, like, the most logical step was to then, okay, start an online business. And I didn't know where to start at that time, but then I just looked at the people I looked up to at that moment, and one of the people I looked up to the most was Gary Vaynerchuk, and the second one was Stephen Bartlett. Like, not the Stephen Bartlett of the Diary of a CEO, but back in the days, Steven, he actually also had a daily vlog just like Gary V had, but it was just not that popular. He had like 14,000 subscribers or something. But I loved watching those vlogs. And what those two people had in common was they both had a marketing agency. And then I was like, oh, they're both having a marketing agency. Maybe that's something I want to do as well, because I was already into content creation, and I knew how to build a following back then. And then I was like, okay, maybe I can do something with social media. But then I liked the part of selling through social media, or making specific money with social media. And then I saw ads, like performance ads. And then I remember back then I saw this other YouTuber, Iman Gadzhi, but back then he was like not the Iman Gadzhi he is today. Back then it
Mhm.
was just like a 16 or 17-year-old, and he was just documenting his agency behind the scenes, how he was like getting clients and how he was doing his work, just days in the life. And I would binge watch all these videos. And then, because this is gonna come a long story, so I'm gonna try to keep it short. Then I thought, like, okay, he has an agency. I also want an agency. I bought a course from Ty Lopez, because he was advertising a course about building an agency. So I bought that. It was my first course I bought. And it was so weird because he was promoting the course, but then somebody else was giving the course, which was such a mental mindfuck for me. So I was like, wait, it's like, I thought I'd bought the course of Tai Lopez, but then Tai Lopez is now introducing me to this teacher, which I thought was weird. So then I didn't really like that one too much. Then I bought Six Figure SMMA from Iman Gadzhi. That was his very first course. And then I just actually implemented what I've learned in the course, and yeah, I started my agency. And then actually I was already making, then after 6 months, I was making enough money to actually start traveling. But then I had a girlfriend back then that did not have, they had a 9 to 5. Well, she was a flight attendant, so it's not a traditional 9 to 5, but she had a fixed job, which then made it very hard to, yeah, start traveling. So then I waited for a while, just built my online business here in Belgium, while also making enough buffer, let's say, for like emergency fund. And then I just started traveling. Like, I also started a side business with my ex-girlfriend back then, but that's an whole other story. If you want to know more about it, you can ask about that. But then we just started traveling the world together and never looked back. Well, we did break up afterwards, so I continued traveling solo afterwards.
Mm,
Yeah, that was basically how I went from how I wanted to, like, how I came up to the idea of becoming a digital nomad to effectively becoming a digital nomad.
right. And now you have an agency. You help online businesses and online coaches with
Yes.
their ads, right?
So basically, we're a growth partner. So back in the days, we would only do ads, but now we really became a growth partner because we look more holistically at their business. Because I realized that if I only do their ads and all the other things are shit, my ads don't really work. So that's why I really went into deep diving in understanding funnels, all the sales processes to actually get the whole funnel right. So that when my ads come at the funnel stage and all the other stages, that they really convert really well. So now we're more than just doing ads, like we're actually really a growth agency and we're helping our clients, e-commerce brands and online coaches with their whole funnel, actually where we optimize every part so that the ads work as good as possible.
Mm. I remember when you were talking about starting a blog. I remember how I met you was actually I
Yeah.
saw an Instagram ad
Yeah.
of you promoting your workshop, your Instagram workshop. I think
Yeah.
it was that. Then I
Yeah.
clicked on your profile, and then I went to your YouTube channel, and then
Okay.
binge watching all your vlogs.
That's
When you
crazy.
had that Oriomi,
Yeah.
your
Oriomi,
iPhone
yeah,
repair.
my
Uh,
first business.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was something different then because I didn't know a lot of people who were making vlogs who were also starting their own business in Belgium. So it was very interesting to see.
People recently told me that I was like one of the first pioneers in Belgium, like actually making content about business and documenting a lot of that stuff.
Mhm.
And actually, I took it a little bit too much for granted because it was actually really good for me and really good for my business, but it wasn't that tangible. And then actually, I gave up because I felt like I wasn't getting enough views. But and I felt like I was getting more engagement on Instagram. But looking back at it, I wish I just would have continued YouTube because at the end of the day, that long form, like people were really rooting for me. People were really like, yeah, like knowing me, supporting me way more, even though the views were less than on Instagram. Because on Instagram, it's a short form, like a quick like. But like if somebody spends like 5 minutes in one YouTube video, that's maybe the YouTube video is 50 minutes, but the fact that they spent those 5 minutes with me was so valuable. And yeah, I really wish my younger self would have stayed consistent with it and didn't want to go to quick, shiny metrics, you know?
Mm, right. It is shiny for a reason, and we do get attracted by it. But you're
100%.
right. It was very inspiring for me. I still know the feeling. It was so inspiring. I think I reached out to you, and then you were so kind enough to invite me to that workshop. That's how I met you first time in
That's
Antwerp.
crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's long ago, but I do remember my hair was blonde. That's what I remember, and, it
I
was
have a picture. I remember taking a picture with you with your blonde hair.
yeah, yeah, and I think, yeah, you were just such a genuinely nice person, and I was just really happy to have you there.
Truly appreciated that, and it was very valuable. I learned a lot about Instagram at that time. At that time, I was also trying to get into social media marketing through Tai Lopez and Iman Gachi. I also
Yeah,
bought their courses
yeah, funny.
and started my own social media marketing agency on the
Oh,
side.
I do remember that. I do remember that.
Yeah, but I think the timing was off as well. It was right before COVID hit Europe.
Yeah,
It was before lockdown. In the beginning, I had a couple of local clients.
yeah,
It was going all right. It was growing all right. But then they had to close down. So most clients that I had couldn't
yeah.
afford the service.
Mm,
So it was hard and they had to drop me. And then I still kept trying. I also tried Upwork and online trying to find clients that way. But
yeah,
fortunately or unfortunate fortunately actually, because now looking back, I'm glad I failed. I quit that business
yeah.
because finally I found something that I'm truly passionate about.
And that's the thing, right? Sometimes things happen for a reason, and I think, like, yeah, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do at that moment, and it's not everything is for everyone, you know? Like, sometimes you
Mhm.
see something and you wanna have it as well, but maybe the universe or destiny had something else for you in its plans, you know?
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Have you had a moment like this where you are grateful that you failed at a project, for example?
Yeah, I think what's very interesting in my journey is that so I started with my agency, right? And then after my agency, I did drop shipping. And while drop shipping, I was just very lucky that I had success from the first get go. So my first product I ever tried, I did 100,000 euros in revenue in 1 month. And then afterwards, I had so many problems because I was self-employed in Belgium. I did way too much revenue. I had a lot of refunds. And then the product didn't work and my ad account got blocked. So everything got shut down. And there, the blessing in disguise was that I actually learned a lot to scale my clients, their ad accounts back then, because I was comfortable spending 3,000, 4,000 euros of my own and making money and good return on that. So then I also felt more confident because I feel like one of the things in the beginning when you start a business, you have a lot of imposter syndrome. And if you have to spend other people's money, you feel very scared. But because I could have because I did it with my own money first, even though afterwards it failed, it gave me a lot of confidence. And then I continued growing my agency, and my agency grew actually really, really nice. But my biggest obstacle or problem was shiny object syndrome. Like I was so sensitive to shiny object syndromes, and I was not grateful enough for my agency. Even though my agency was doing really well, I was always just looking at other people making more money. I was like, oh, I want to make more money, like, and I had friends that were drop shipping that were doing millions or like 100,000 every month. And I was like, even though I was doing really well for myself, I was just always looking on the side and thinking like, oh, I want what they have. And because of that, in the last 4 years, let's say, I actually tried so many different things, even though my agency was always the thing that I was putting the least amount of time in and was bringing me the most amount of money. And still, I was neglecting that and always trying new stuff. And now looking back at it, and I think becoming a father did help with that, was I think when I knew I was going to become a father, I realized like, hey, I got to stop playing around. And then I just canceled all my side projects and said like, you know what, let me try to take my agency a little bit more serious. What can I do to make it better? That's also how we just went from agency to growth partner, because actually we did so much more for our clients, but I just didn't realize it. I didn't see it because for me it was natural. Like I saw all these things and I was like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to make that better, and then we would see better results. But I didn't realize that it was my knowledge bringing all those better results. And I always said it would be so funny that after 5 years of trying different stuff, the agency would always be the thing. Like the results were always just in front of me. Everything was just in front of me, but I was just like a blind person looking around, trying to find the answers somewhere else.
Mm,
So yeah, that's just really, really funny. And I'm happy that all those other things failed so that I now also have like main focus on and I think it's not per se that, because a lot of things also succeeded, but then I could also not hold it long enough because then I was again jumping to the next opportunity. So I
right.
think that was like a little bit my biggest problem is, so you have to think about it, right? I start my agency works. I start drop shipping works. I do coaching works. I do online courses work. So because every new thing I started just worked, I felt like, oh yeah, I'll just try to keep it. But you don't really master it truly if you always skip to the next thing. So yeah, like, and then a lot of things failed actually, I feel like, from my perspective. And now I'm just happy that I found my focus again, and I'm actually way more grateful. Sometimes you really have to go down to get humbled to then build it back up better, stronger, and faster.
Mm. I think most people deal with this shiny object syndrome. They get distracted by the shiny objects. And while you were saying this, it reminded me of the valley of despair. Have you heard about it?
Yes.
Right? People get into the valley of despair and uh, they face reality of how hard it is to be successful at a business. And then
100%.
they see something, that's trending, that's hot right now, a new business model, and then they start that business model, and then they go through the valley of despair again, and then it's a loop, right? They get
Yeah,
trapped by that.
I've been through the loop a few times.
I think most people, yeah, most people who goes through the entrepreneurial journey, they they go through that a couple of
It's
times.
also just because there's so much noise, you know, you get so distracted by all those things on social media. That's why I deleted social media for 3 months. If you look at my Instagram, I didn't post nothing for like 3 months or something because I just didn't want to have it on my phone. I just wanted to be focused and not like, because also like it's crazy. I even pay for I even pay so I don't get ads on my Instagram now that I have it again, because I don't want to be introduced to any new shiny object. So I rather pay Meta like 12 euros every month so I just don't get any ads, you know?
Right. Oh, okay. What have you then learned being off social media for 3 months?
Well, I've learned that social media, one, gave me a lot of anxiety without me realizing it. And it was twofold. One fold was, or one part of it was like me wanting to become a creator again, but feeling so much pressure of constant consuming all these super good creators, which gave me that anxiety. And then also seeing all these business people having such good results, which I'm then subconsciously comparing myself to, which I don't even know these people, but still I am comparing myself because whatever I'm doing is not good enough because I compare it to all these crazy people that I am seeing there. And then removing it, having no social media just brought me so much peace. It brought me back to reality. I still watch YouTube from time to time because it's also long form. I think it's also better for my brain than always checking short form content. But it gave me peace of mind. Like I had a lot of anxiety. I had severe anxiety for 1 year and a half. And like one of the things for me to get rid of that anxiety was actually quitting social media. And that helped me tremendously getting over that anxiety. Now I don't have anxiety anymore. And now, like the last month, I have social media again, but it's way more mindful. You know, I don't even scroll that much. Like I just sometimes I'm there, and I don't feel the need to prove anything on social media. I don't feel the need to like now I can scroll. I can just be happy for those people and like without feeling anything. But I needed that time off um to just also like again my theory is like when I was young, I always said, "Oh, I don't watch the TV and I don't watch the news because they just try to like make you think in a certain way." But social media is the exact same thing, but it's just hidden better, you know. Um, so yeah, I just had more of my own thoughts, I would say, instead of thoughts that were influenced by something I wouldn't even realize, you know.
That's a great point. You do get influenced by social
Oh,
media.
100%. Like that's my job, right? I do ads. And people always say like, "Oh no, but it's 100% that." That's why when people said it about, "Oh, don't watch the news or don't watch TV because that will program you." Like social media is that on steroids.
Right.
And because you know what the thing is? And the reason why I do watch YouTube and not anything else is because on YouTube I choose what I watch. It's not an algorithm that, of course, the algorithm will suggest me stuff, but I'm still choosing, you know, while on short form, it's just passing you by and it's like it already hooks you in and you didn't even have time to choose something, you know, and I think that's pretty dangerous.
Mm. There was some great points about social media being bad. You start to compare yourself to other people. That makes you feel worse, and then you feel the anxiousness.
Mhm.
And then the second one was it reduces your attention span because you're constantly watching short form content, that you are not able to focus anymore on your task or whatever you're working on.
Yeah.
And I think it's better to watch longer form YouTube videos, maybe watching a podcast, which
Yeah.
is longer, and then it doesn't really ruin your attention span. The brain rot
100%.
content ruining your
100%.
dopamine system. It's such a, it's worse. Hmm. If you are not careful with social media, it's really bad.
I think everybody is already addicted to it. Like, I think it's already like, like when people are addicted to alcohol, like people get really worried about you. When people are addicted to drugs, they really get, but like for me, like social media is just another drug, like because it's your dopamine thing that is constantly going off. And like people are so scared to just be bored and make room for their own thoughts because they're so scared of their own thoughts. Because if you just put everything on the side or you don't really make space, whatever pain you're feeling, you don't have to feel it. You can just go and numb yourself with social media, but that just makes it worse. And that's why it's like a great escape. And the more you do it, the more you longer you stay there, but the bigger the problems eternally become. And for me, just not being there and having time to be bored, I feel like the best ideas come when I was bored, and just journaling a lot, like really reflecting on my own thoughts and just understanding my own thought patterns, like did so much for me.
Right. That's a great point about intentionally being bored. That's like you mentioned, that's when you get those ideas. You're
Mm,
letting your brain time, you're giving your brain time to process the information you have
oh yeah,
learned. That's when you get the new ideas, like you mentioned. And another thing, you get more peace, which is
100%.
so important
I
for your
think that's the
mental
most
health.
like at the end of the day, like why do you want to make a lot of money? Because you just want peace of mind, like why do you
Right.
want to like do many things or achieve many things? Because afterwards, the end result should or hopefully, like for me, try to be like peace of mind.
Mm. How would you say is your mental state right now?
Really good, actually. Well, I would say like 70%, like where I want it to be. But for me, that's really good because I feel like for the last 1 year and a half, I felt like living at 50 or 40, or maybe sometimes even 30. And I've never experienced that before in my entire life. So I didn't know what that was. And it's all started when I turned 30. Like when I turned 30, I was like, damn, I need to make some big decisions. I was having a 5 year relationship that was actually not really working for me. I really neglected myself for such a long time. I really lost the connection with myself. Like we call it when you turn 30, sometimes midlife crisis, right? And then I was like, okay, what do I want in life? And then I actually achieved everything that I wanted in life. I wanted an online income. I wanted to travel. I wanted to be in Thailand, Bali, and didn't know what was next, and that like was very scary for the first time in my life. And then I just woke up every day with anxiety, like my throat was just hurting, and there was nothing I could really do about it. And I just tried to work and hustle myself out of it, but it wasn't the answer. I always thought like if I make some more money, then my problems will be solved, but it wasn't. And because of that, it was also not working. And then I remember at a certain point, my agency, I neglected it way too much, and it was actually at the lowest point. And then I was so frightened by that, like I was like, damn, how did I ever get it at this low of a point? And then the best thing I actually did was really crazy because I was fighting it so hard. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna accept the situation. Just gonna let it be for what it is. If it is like this, it is like this. And it was actually funny, the moment I let go, the moment I was like, I trust it will be fine either way. I will find my way. That's when everything changed. Like all of a sudden, I scaled up my agency so quickly. I don't even know how I did it. And I could only say like the only thing I did was letting it go. And now, yeah, my mental health is actually really good because I had all the learnings. Of course, it does help if you make more money again. But that was not the main thing anymore because I didn't care anymore at that point.
Mm.
So I would say like, yeah, 70 or 80%. There are a few things that I just know about myself, how I used to be, that I'm still missing a little bit. But besides that, I'm really grateful, bro. Like especially, bro, like at this moment in my life, I'm just so grateful to feel normal. Like when you have anxiety for 1 year and a half, to not have that anymore, I'm so grateful for that. Like it's like when you're sick. When you're sick, you don't realize how grateful you should be when you're healthy, because when you're healthy, you take it for granted. I feel the exact like that, like I'm just so grateful that I don't feel anxiety every day anymore.
Mm. That's beautiful. I'm glad you're feeling better now.
Thanks, man. Me too.
Now you have you have achieved your dream job, your dream goal. I wanted to ask, did what was your definition of success back then, and has it changed? If so, what is the definition now?
Yeah, I think first, I think my definition of success was becoming a millionaire. Like, I don't know, like, that was always when I was, like, 16, that was, like, what was in my head. Then a lot of my friends actually became millionaires, and I realized that that was not as nice as I thought, like, they still had the same problems, the same insecurities, the same things they were struggling with mentally. So I really let go of that pretty quickly. I was more being like self-sufficient, making enough money to like live my life when wherever I wanted to be, and being able to live in Bali. That was back then like me being like made it, and then I did that, and it was so sad, because I climbed my mountain, and then I was like, damn, now what? And to be 100% honest with you, I don't know what my current vision of success means. But somehow it's also not something that is keeping me awake anymore as much. Um, like before, maybe that was like a big thing for me, but now I think it's a process, I guess, and it might come. But like s- today, I'm just happy and in peace, and I think what I've done is more than good enough. And yeah, I don't know, like for the next months, weeks, years, we'll see what that is.
Mm, uh, like you just said, you're happy now and you're at peace, which is the ultimate goal for most people. They want to
Yeah,
be happy. Why do they want to be a millionaire? They want to live a happy life.
you want the emotions that is attached to the result, but sometimes you think you have to get the result to feel the emotion, but it's not true. Like you said.
Hmm. Would you say happiness is a choice?
Hmm. I wish I could say happiness is a choice because I wanted to be really happy when I was in Bali, but I was not. So, and I think maybe I made the wrong choices, but I also feel like I had to go through that whole journey to just come where I am today. So it's I wish I could say like happiness is a choice, but at that moment it didn't feel like a choice. I was not happy. I was really not happy. And I tried so many things. I tried to force it, and it didn't work.
Mm,
So I would say if I was able to force it, then I could say yes, I chose to be happy back then. But I think it's more of letting go of things and then just look at what you have. And like we have more than 99% of what people need to be happy. So yeah,
mm,
it's not really a good answer on your question. So it's somewhere in the middle, I would say.
see, I think, yeah, sometimes it's better to let go, not forcing things. I'm
Yeah.
reading a book, right, Tao Te Ching, about
Yep.
Taoism,
Hmm.
and it talks about Wu Wei and following the natural flow of life,
Yeah.
basically not forcing things, not forcing relationship, forcing outcomes. And in that way, you find peace. You're not forcing even people to
Yeah.
understand you or forcing people to do something for you. You are more at peace because you detach, you let go.
100%.
That's um, recently I've been also thinking a lot about finding peace. And basically, I think, letting go and detaching from outcomes and detaching from expectations from other people
Yeah.
and the judgment of other people. If you can let go of that, I'm not saying
Oh,
it's easy. It's a constant thing you have to practice.
yeah.
That gives you peace.
100%. Because, like, bro, in all fairness, all those things are just imaginary, right? Like, we feel pressure from people or certain expectations, but like they don't really care that much, but in our mind they do, you know, and we all think that we cannot do certain things for certain, but actually all those things really don't matter, but somehow we got trained that they do matter, you know, and that makes it so hard. And I do think as well, like with letting go, it's so weird, right? Like that's what I literally did with my business. I just let it go. Like that was what I literally did. I was watching so many YouTube videos about letting go. Like I think it took me 10 videos before I really let go, you know, where I was like, fuck it, you know. But the funny thing is, it's very funny actually. Um, so I don't know how this works, right? So the moment I let go, I have a dream, and I dream about Nathan. You know Nathan, right?
Yeah, Nathan. Okay.
Yeah. So I dream about him, and he gives me a hug in my dream. I don't know why. Like, so like,
Okay.
the day after that, I wake up. He texts me, bro. He didn't like. We don't text. Like we don't really talk that much. You know, last time he texted me was like 5 years ago. I was like, wait, I dream about him. He texts me. That's super weird, right? And then he said like, hey, I might have a client for you, and he did. And that's the moment the ball started rolling again. And it was weird because it was almost like a signal to the universe, like, hey, I'm ready. Okay, I let go. And then it was like, okay, now we're gonna award you because now you understand you cannot force this, you know? Like it's
Mhm.
such a it's such a crazy coincidence. Like a lot of things like this happen in my life, but I thought that was interesting.
Mm, it is very interesting. That's a good example. Yeah, it's hard to explain how this works.
Yeah, because if I tell somebody, "Oh, you want to grow your business, just let it go," and somebody's gonna text you, and then you might get your next client. You know, like it worked for me that way. You know, so that's why it's hard to
Mm,
as advice. You know.
mm. Yeah, it's hard to understand, but it works when you let go.
Yeah.
I'm still learning about it. It's a
Oh, it's always. I think it's not a thing that you now can do. It's like a continuously thing that you have to improve and change. You know,
mm,
but yeah, it's just it's in relationships, it's in work, it's in everything because like the I think the hardest thing in what you said in the Taoism or like I think just in general is like okay, you should not force stuff, right? But then also how do you move forward? You know, like because you want to do your best to achieve something, but then also you should not force it. And I think that's always like the difficult thing. And I think especially for me, right? Because if I look at my childhood, like for example, I was very mediocre in school until somebody said, "Oh, I don't believe you can get good grades," and then I was like, "Okay, let me prove you wrong." And then from that point till like for the next 5 years, I was always number one of the class just to prove somebody else wrong, and I proved to myself that I could force myself to be the best student in the class, and because of that, I thought, "Oh, if I want to achieve things in life." I can just force it. And I did a lot of things. A lot of things I forced but it only can bring you to a certain level. It cannot bring you to that next level. So that's why I always find it hard sometimes of like when somebody says to me like, "Oh, you just have to let go." I think no, I just have to become better at my business. I have to become better at sales. I have to become better at all these other things. But yeah, eventually life proved to me that's not true. But that's my thought process at that moment.
mm. Yeah, I can totally understand. As a kid growing up, I also felt like I had to prove myself and force myself to get better and to compete.
Yes.
And it does, like you mentioned, it does get you to a certain level, but it's not enough to get to the next level.
Exactly.
And I've been also thinking a lot about um, in Taoism, there is this concept Wu Wei,
Wu Wei.
non-action or effortless action.
Effortless action. Okay. Okay. That's
Doesn't mean
maybe
you don't take action,
yes, 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 yes.
but
That
you
would be
find
close.
ways to effortlessly move.
Yeah.
Um, uh, it also reminds me of what Naval says about find something that feels like play to you, but looks like work to others.
Yeah.
That's something I'm trying to find. And this
How's your
way,
sorry.
Sorry?
No, no, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
What I was gonna say was, mm, with the thing that I really want to do in life, right,
Yeah,
is I was trying to find something that feels like play to me, that might look like work to others.
yeah,
And I started YouTube, and now I'm doing this podcasting, right? This feels like play to me. I
yeah,
love learning. I love having deeper conversations with people who are interesting to me.
yeah.
And I get into this flow state. It doesn't
Mm,
feel like work to me. For
yes,
some people, it might look like work, but
yes,
it's play to me. So I feel like
yes.
I found something which is a bit more effortless than the other things I've tried.
100% makes sense.
So in that sense, I feel like I don't have to force that much,
Yeah,
that I can flow a bit more.
yeah, yeah. 100% agree. I do not feel like that in my work. Um, maybe hopefully I can find it, but yeah, I think that's more the ultimate goal, you know, to find that. Because like for
Mm,
me, I still come from a place of scarcity where like my biggest fear is to go poor again, you know, because we grew up kind of poor and like that's my biggest fear. So for me, it's usually like, oh, if money is the problem, then money should be the solution as well, right? And I it's like I do like what I do, right? Like I like ads, I like the psychology behind it, I like all the things that I learned, I like the content, but it does not feel like play for or like per se. Like, and I can get in a flow state of doing my job, but not in the way you describe it, you know, because play is just pure fun, and I don't really like. I get fun after I see the good results, but that's
mhm.
results based, you know, and you are getting the fun even though there's no result attached to it because the conversation is going right now. You don't know what the result is going to be. But yeah, that's really nice, and I'm happy for you that you found that.
Thank you, man. Uh, have you experienced this flow state? Do you remember when
Mm,
you get into a flow state?
yeah, actually, when I started my first business, like Odiomi, I felt like I was constantly in a flow state, and it's funny because very often I still get reminded of how good of a job I actually did with zero experience. Like like sometimes I look back and I'm like, how did I make that logo? How did I do the branding? How did I chose those colors? I was just all gut feeling. It was just in the flow of everything, you know? And today somebody sent me a picture of it, like coincidentally. And I was like, damn, how like he sent me a picture of all the logos of all the companies that were inside of a building, and it was like mine was still there. And like from all the logos, mine really stood out, you know, and I was like, oh wow, you know, I really did such a good job. And it was because I was in a certain flow state. I was like almost connected to a higher power or something. And I don't know how I did it, but I built that business out of scratch, out of thin air, and it worked really well actually.
Mm. You must be really proud of your younger self.
Oh yeah. Like I back then again, I wouldn't think so because I felt like I wasn't making enough money. Again, and your question could be, what is enough money? But at that moment, if it was not a million, it was not enough money, you know? Um, but yeah, looking back, bro, like I don't know how I did all that stuff, but I'm so damn proud of myself because I did everything with the little things I had and I made it work for myself. I made a name for myself. Like people still sometimes call me to repair their iPhones. Like I'm like, bro, I haven't been repairing iPhones for like 10 years, but just because I did such a good job back then with the YouTube channel, with the whole Oriomi branding and stuff, that it just worked. So I'm very proud of him.
Mm. Is that something advice you would give him to do something different?
Whew. I think the advice I would give him, it's very, I don't know what advice I would give him because I felt like that experience was necessary, the Oriomi thing, because I would tell him, like just in general, don't try to make your business too complex. You know, like if I've learned one thing, it's like it's okay to just do something that works for somebody else as well, you know? Like back in the days, my mindset would be like, oh, I have to innovate. I have to do something totally new, something totally different, you know? But I've learned now that the reason why Pepsi exists is because Coke works. The reason why Burger King exists is because McDonald's works, you know, like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to make it your own and do it a little bit different, you know?
Mm,
So I think back then I was just trying to do too much heavy lifting, creative in new ways. And but I think that's okay, you know. I think as an entrepreneur, you have to go through that journey to then realize what's important.
right, right. That brought you to where you are today and who you are today. And I'm
On
sure you are proud of who you are today.
100%, like in all fairness, I am actually everything that my younger self wished for, you know, like the exact life that I have is exactly what I wished for like 7 years ago. Sometimes I forget that, you know, because we're always so focused on, oh, what's next, you know? But I literally am the embodiment of everything that I wanted to become. And I'm very grateful and proud of that.
Mm. What was hmm, what would you say is the best advice you have ever received?
Hmm. The best advice I've ever received. Hmm. I think maybe when I was 16, there was this dude. He was a diamond dealer. Like, not a dealer, but, like, a real, like, you know, like, um and he gave me the first book, called Think and Grow Rich, and he told me that I would find a lot of wisdom in books if I kept on going and reading them, and for me, that was, like, a very big lever because of that person, because he was rich, right? So I thought, I also wanna become rich, and then he said, "I have to read this book." So I thought, "Okay, if I wanna become rich, I also have to read this book." But that opened my whole world to a lot of self-improvement and a lot of learnings about business, things that my parents couldn't tell me or couldn't give me. And like a big part of my parenting became books. And that was because he gave me the advice to read those books.
Mm. There are so many knowledge and life lessons you can learn from a book.
A lot of books are way better than courses that are 10 times more expensive.
Right. That's a great advice to start reading books. I would highly recommend that.
And it's interesting because I looked at my life, what I was doing when I felt happy and successful, and what I was not doing when I was unhappy and well, not unsuccessful, but like, and that was one of the things. Like when I was young, I was reading a lot of books, and then I got older and I stopped reading a lot of books. And it's twofold, right? Because on one hand, for me personally, there was a moment where I had to leave the books behind because like I was just at a point where in my life, I think I was like maybe 22, and it was time for action, you know, like before I was just like, "Oh, I wanna read the next book, and I wanna read the next book," and I was read and I think that was really good as well, but also I needed to, for a while, stop and take action and learn things by doing and not only by reading. So that was on the next part, but then I forgot I had to, like, actually later on combine it, but then I did not, you know?
Right, right. Well, right. You do have to take action, not just read about it.
Yeah,
Apply
so that
it.
that was, like, for me, a little bit of the trap when I was younger, you know, where I was just, like, reading more and because I got a lot of dopamine of reading those things, you know? But then, yeah, I had to start my business, yeah, I had to start my first business, and you cannot read in a book how to do your first business, you know, like or you could maybe, but then you just have to, like, take action, and then you could go back and reflect on different books, but then I went from books to just business, and then from business, I went to buying courses and coaches, um and then it was so much that actually a book could have just solved a lot of these things as well. But yeah, that was my journey.
Mm. Most people mistake it as being productive, just reading, consuming content about personal development or business content,
Yeah, they call
but
it
you have to take action, right?
exactly. They call it edu porn, like it's just you want to educate yourself and you get off on it, but you're not doing anything with it. And just you get that feeling and that good feeling of just having the knowledge. But it's like you said, like if you don't do anything with it, like now, for example, the Valley of the Spear where we talked about, like it's something I think about every day now because of course I read it in a book, but now I'm actually using it where I'm like thinking of like, oh shit, things are getting tough. But then I look at it as like, okay, but it's also meant to be that way because I have to go to this valley, and that's like for me reading it, but now also applying it to my daily situation.
Mm. Talking about books, what are your
Yes.
top 3 books?
Oh, by far, the 4 Hour Work Week, that book changed everything for me. That gave me the life I have today. Like that was the first book in my entire life I could not put down. Then the second one is Emit Revisited. It's actually about how to systematize your business. It's one of the first books where I really had something like, oh my God, wow, yeah. Um, and then the third one, I think I would say Think and Grow Rich because that book really kicked off the whole other parts of reading books. So I think those would be like my top three.
Mm,
But 4 Hour
good
Work Week was the
ones.
first one I was really hooked where I could not like I was like, give me this, whatever you're doing there, that's the life I want.
Right, from Tim
And it's funny
Ferriss.
because it's it's like I have that life now. I'm not working 4 hours per week though, but I would not want to do that because I really do like being productive. Like I get a good dopamine of it. Um, but actually like yeah, I am in random countries. I do have virtual assistants that help me with some certain tasks, like that I have never seen in real life. Like it's yeah, it's just it had such a big impact on me.
Mm. Did that book inspire you to become a digital nomad?
Also, yeah, yeah, like I think I already had that idea, but that just showed me that it was possible.
Mm,
Like it was like, oh, imagine you want to become a digital nomad, but you didn't really know what the term digital nomad was, but you had this mental vision of like freedom and travel, and then you get that book and you're like, oh, whoa, this is exactly what I want, and you just start reading. It's like, oh my God, and you just gobble it up.
mm. Tim Ferriss is the goat, man.
Oh yeah, like well, I didn't really follow all his other stuff, but that book that he gave me, like to the world, was enough for me.
Mm. Would you say uh, di this digital nomad lifestyle, is that something you want to keep doing for
Yeah,
long
so for
term?
example, now I became a dad, and people are like, "Bro, you're crazy. You're such a bad dad because you're gonna just drag your kid along." And for me, I don't really see it that way. Like, I want to give him exposure to the world. I think Asia is also the future. Like, just how everybody moved to the United States when that was the golden opportunity. I do think the golden opportunity is in Asia right now. Um, and maybe I just stay in Vietnam. I don't know, but I think my philosophy is more like I will go where I feel like I get treated the best and where I feel like I can get the most out of life. And I'm not tied to any specific location. So it's not per se that I want to be a digital nomad with a family and do as many countries as possible. No, I just really want to go where I feel at that moment where I feel treated best, where I feel my kid gets treated best, where we as a family can get the most um yeah, out of life generally.
Mm. I agree, man. Asia might be the future, and
It's
I've
it,
s-
it's already like it is it's one of the few economies if you look at like more in regions that is growing at a very fast rate.
totally
Like
agree.
in the West, we had our time. We had our golden years. Like those things are like it's not like nobody in Belgium is gonna earn all of a sudden twice as much as they did like a few years ago. Like that in Asia, those opportunities are still there.
Mm. Hmm. I've had little experience of being in Asia, and I love it. I love being there. I love the locals there, the opportunities, and people you met from all over the world.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you maybe you've experienced it more in Thailand, but like because in Bali, I feel like it's a little bit difficult because you don't really connect with local people so much. I feel like, but in Thailand, for example, bro, like all my friends were just local people because I was just there by myself, you know. And bro, like those people are so amazing, you know, and it's just so nice to connect and still have those feelings where it's like the whole community tries to take care of each other, you know?
Mm.
Uh, so I like because I don't know where your roots are. I you told me once, but um, I don't
Tib-
remember.
Originally, my parents are Tibetan,
Yes,
but
I
I was
remember.
born in India.
Oh, interesting. That I didn't know.
Yeah, when in 1950s China invaded Tibet,
Oh,
and then most Tibetans had to flee the country, and then later on my parents also immigrated to India, and
okay,
that's where I was born,
okay,
and now we moved to Belgium.
okay. And do you want to go visit?
For sure. There's a dream, but it is hard for us Tibetans to get into Tibet to get the visa.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, it's not that easy for Tibetans to get into Tibet.
Interesting. A lot of politics.
Yeah, but it's not impossible.
Yeah.
I would love to. I would love to. I really love. I think since coming back from Asia, I really want to get more connected to my roots. I'm more interested in Eastern philosophy, the Asian culture, my own Tibetan culture, the philosophies.
Bro, probably, like, probably you guys have everything. Like, you're reading actually a lot of Western books, but actually, if you would start maybe reading your own culture, you would not even need any of these books, you know?
Well, I'm grateful that I've read the Western books, the Western philosophy, Stoicism, and
Yeah.
so on. Now I'm more interested in the Eastern philosophy, and then I can combine those two
Yeah.
philosophies.
100%. You can just take what works best for you.
Exactly.
That's beautiful, man.
What else are you working on? Is there something interesting coming up?
No, I'm just working on my agency, you know, like that's been my lesson, you know, like I do have a few ideas that I really want to work on, but I learned that I cannot, you know. Also, maybe what's interesting is like I found out that I have ADHD. Got diagnosed a few months ago, and that just helped me understand how my brain works a little bit better and why I'm constantly chasing new dopamine. And also knowing that I know how important it is. Like people with ADHD are even more fragile towards like shiny object syndrome. So now I really know like I have a lot of ideas I want to work on, and I just put them in my Notion for maybe one day. But I really know like I have to prove it to myself to just stick to one vehicle, and all the time that I have free next to that, yeah, to just spend it with my family, you know?
Mm. I don't have enough knowledge about ADHD.
Mhm.
Maybe for people who do also have ADHD, what advice would you recommend give them?
Like the biggest advice or that helped for me, like when I discovered I had ADHD, was just trying to find out how things work for you as a person with ADHD. So for example, when I'm very bad at time management, but now when I go to YouTube, I would type in time management for people with ADHD, and those tips work way better for me than the tips that I would listen to before, you know? So now every time when I feel stuck with something, I just see like if it's any different for people with ADHD. I will tell you, like people with ADHD have a very high fear of rejection, you know, like it's I don't know how it works exactly, but knowing that I just have more empathy for myself, you know, like it's like so for example, I also have dyslexia, right? Like when I was young, I got diagnosed with that. So I knew that my whole life. So having dyslexia and dysorthography means till this day I cannot really write very correctly. Like I would still make spelling mistakes, but just because I know I have it, I don't get mad at myself, you know? While with ADHD, I didn't know I had it. So every time when I was doing new stuff and always chasing new stimulants, I would get annoyed at myself afterwards, like, "Oh, why did you do that again?" You know, like, "Could you just not stay to one thing?" But now I understand it better, so I have more empathy for myself, which improves the relationship with myself.
Mm, I think those are some helpful advice for people who do have ADHD.
Yeah, and a lot of people actually have it, and again, it's like it's not such a black and white thing, it's like a spectrum. Some people have it heavier than other people, but for me, because like a lot of people ask me like, "Oh," like some people that I know that got diagnosed and started crying because they were so sad that they didn't know it earlier in their life, because that could have helped them in their studies or anything else. But for me, I just had something like, "Hey, I feel like I accomplished a lot, and if I did that with ADHD, that means it can only get better from here." And I feel like it gave me like it also has a lot of like positives. It gives you a lot of energy. It gives you a lot of when you're locked in, you get mega locked in. When you have deadlines, you're mega locked in. Like so it helps with a lot of things as well, but you just have to use it in your own best way. But yeah, just see it as something positive and yeah, again for me, having the diagnosis did help me a lot.
Mm. That's a great point about, whatever you have, try to find ways to use it as an advantage.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a great message.
yeah, hundred
I'm
percent.
really sorry.
No, I said yeah, 100%.
I just wanted to show my appreciation for coming on this pod and sharing your story, your insights. There was some great advice on there. We
Oh,
can keep talking on, but I want to respect your time, man. Thank you
okay.
for coming on the podcast.
Bro, thank you for having me. Thank you for thinking of me. And I also just want to applaud you and give you your flowers because I think what I really appreciate about you, like just watching you from the sidelines, because I don't see you that often in real life, but is you always just keep on going. Like you said, like you did the YouTube. Now you feel like it's more the podcasting that you want to do. That's effortless for you. Maybe like still like in the same niche actually. Like and like even though which I admire a lot is like me when I don't see the results that I really want quickly enough, I quit. And for you, even though you may not have the results or you do have certain results because some videos of you on YouTube went really well, but even though you couldn't 100 times repeat that, you still kept on going, and I think that's the most important skill to have.
I truly appreciate that. Like, being persistent
Oh, yeah, you
is,
are.
thank you. I don't see myself doing anything else, man. Even if I were to never make it, I would see it as a success because
Oh,
I
yeah.
find success in the journey itself and the
Mhm.
craft, the doing itself.
I wish I was you. Like, for real. For real, like, I wouldn't have had all the anxiety if I had that, because that's the beauty, bro, and I think that's, for me, also what I have to learn again to enjoy the process because I'm so obsessed with the end result that I just don't enjoy the process, and it's also a really good reminder for myself.
Mm. Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, all under Joachim Badejoh. You would see my mind was very scattered when I was in my ADHD phase. So I was doing a little bit of everything all at the same time. But soon I'll just be pretty active on Instagram.
All right, go follow him on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere on YouTube. I'll put all the links in the description.
Thank you.
Joachim,
Thank
thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Tenzin. Thank you for having me, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
See you soon.